Before I delve into my presentation about the role of AI in the smart communities and smart buildings, I want to take a few minutes just to talk about AI itself. So what is AI? We've been, throughout this presentation, we've heard AI more than any other words. It's been the way we're living in the last 2 years. It impacted every aspect of our life. And if we look around us, you go to any shop, you'll see a lot of AI-enabled and AI-powered. I was looking for a water cooler, and there was one sitting in the corner saying AI-powered water cooler. I really don't know why we need an AI-powered water cooler, but it's there. Moreover, BCG did a survey a couple of years back, and they found out that the majority, almost 90% of the organizations, they want to implement AI in the next year or two. So with all this hype of AI, and everyone wants to implement it, unfortunately, the results have not been as we want them to be. Another survey done by, again, BCG, showed that only 16% of the manufacturing organization was able to go from pilot to actual AI implementation. Only 2% of the companies were able to implement AI beyond the pilot project in their organization. And only 1% of those companies presented their AI findings to the wider audience, which tells us that the results were not really appealing. So why is that? I mean, what's preventing us from harvesting this AI power that we have around us? It's a very complicated question, and it requires a lot of workshops for that, but I will talk about two main aspects here. One of them is that AI is a very loosely used term nowadays. We use AI too frequently without justifying that. Second one is the quality of data, which I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about AI itself. I'm not sure if you've seen such a slide before, but AI has three main categories. The first one is what we call the narrow AI, or the weak AI. The second one is the general AI, and then we have the super intelligent AI. So to my surprise, when I was doing the research, is that all the AI around us that we see today, that includes the ChatGPT, the Copilot, the autonomous driving, the Tesla cars, all these are in the weak AI right now. We haven't passed the weak AI. So what's the definition of a weak AI? Weak AI is a task-specific AI tool that can do a specific task. I can read text, I can generate text, I can do lane changing, I can do visual inspection, and so on. Now we call these models. And then at the top of that, we have agents. This is where the agentic AI came. Those agents will call different models and create a solution for us, right? But if we want to go to the general AI, what's called general AI, it's a human-like intelligence. So one AI tool will be able to do all aspects, multiple aspects, at a human-level intelligence. So for example, an AI tool that will be able to learn a language and then speak it, and then can write a legal letter for us, and at the same time, engineer a house for us. Now, you might argue that, yes, some of these tools are there, but I can guarantee you that even all these tools, the best of them, are not even close to the human intelligence. And then we can go to the super intelligence AI, and this is just hypothetical. This is when we talk about an AI that can think much better than the human being, and we see it in the science fiction, and we see it in all these horror stories where AI is going to take over our lives. But there's a lot of ethics questions about that, that's beyond these discussions. Now let's talk about the AI technologies that are there. The first and the most primitive AI technology is the reactive machine. And believe it or not, this has been there for decades. Because the definition of AI is it's a tool that can do a task without the intervention of a human being based on inputs, right? So if you look around us, we have tons of those tools and systems and devices that can do that. A very simple example, your thermostat at home. Technically, it's AI enabled because it can make decisions without you interfering. So this is the base of AI. And then we move to the machine language, which is a subset, machine learning, the subset of the AI where we have, we are analyzing, the system will analyze the data and the trend and make decision based on that, predict the future and make decision based on the history. And then you have the deep learning, which is another subset of the machine learning, which uses a neural network to analyze a much more complex information and tasks. An example of those is the natural language processing and the computer vision, like when we talk about the chatbots or ChatGPT and all this, or the computer vision where you have the video analytics and the likes for your facial detection and so on. So just before we go to this slide, we have, so one of the main reasons that AI is not picking up or we're not realizing the AI is that, again, it's loosely used. And when we want to buy or implement an AI, it's not enough that we see that it's enabled or powered, because this tool or system or device that we're buying could be a very simple microcontroller that has input and outputs, or could have implemented a very basic AI model. And the expectation when we say AI enabled or AI powered is much higher than reality. Now let's implement that on our buildings. If you've been in the building technologies for more than 5 years, I'm sure that you've seen some version of this slide somewhere. This talks about the evolving technologies in the building technologies. The first on the left is the monitor, which started in the 1970s, 1980s, where we started to monitor, put sensors in the building to understand what's happening there. And the left one, the autonomous building, this is still a theoretical aspect, so it's a concept where the building doesn't need a human being to take care of it. So it's a self-healing solution in the building. Just a quick example. You have a building that is monitoring itself. It sees that a certain motor or drive is withdrawing more current than it should be. It will realize that the motor is failing, will balance the load on other motors, and then places an order for spare parts, receive the order, receive the part, install it by itself through robots, reprogram the solution, and commission itself. Now, certain aspects of those tasks are there, but the whole solution is not there. Some people argue that we are years away from it. Some people say that we're decades away from it. But I'm on the optimistic side, and I believe that with the acceleration of AI and its implementation, we are maybe 5 to 10 years, we'll start seeing some light version of those autonomous buildings and factories. So we want to talk about communities, and communities are bunch of buildings. So when we start with connecting the buildings and installing those systems in the buildings, we'll start having communities. And from the communities, we can connect them more, and we will have the cities. Now, the smart communities and smart cities is not only about controlling systems and controlling aspects, it's about the whole ecosystem. We've heard Major Rashid and the team here talking about a lot of interaction about disaster recovery, disaster crisis management, and so on. All that is integrated to these smart cities. And I think UAE is one of the more advanced from that aspect in the globe. Like we see what's happening in the globe as well. And we are blessed to live in a country that really value this. So we talk about the smart policing, civil defense, energy and utility management. All that will be integrated all together. And AI can help us to understand what's happening, predict what we need to do, and do it, actually. Now, there's a very important aspect that I think we've talked about education and engaging the citizens. And this is one aspect of the smart city and smart communities that we've seen that all the developers and city management and governments are very interested in how to engage with the citizens that are living in that community or that city. That's mainly through chatbots, so we're able to serve our community or our citizens 24/7, or even working with them in the social media. So it's absolutely not to spy or monitor people, but it's to understand the sentiment of what's happening in that community or sentiment of what's happening in that city, and be proactive to fix the problem or to improve the community or something like that. I live in a community where we have a similar system, but a bit more manual, and we really appreciate it because when the citizens start complaining about, let's say, landscaping, immediately, well, a couple of days, the management will send an email, say that, oh, we've heard that, some complaints about the landscaping, we're going to do this and this and that. So imagine if all that is automated and centralized. So could be much, much easier and better experience for our citizens and governments. Now, without getting into the deep details of this stack for the IoT platform, we talked about data. If I want to use AI models, I need to think about data. AI models are as good as the data they've been fed. Let me repeat that. The AI models are as good as the data they've been fed. You can have the best AI developer that provides the best model that you have. If you input garbage, you'll get garbage. Let me give you an example that is we can all relate to. If you use any AI tool, Copilot, ChatGPT, try to do that. I've tried it on ChatGPT, on Copilot. My friend tried it on Krog, and we all got similar results. Ask your AI tool to create a clock for you, a picture of clock that shows the time of 9:35, for example. Any time, it will fail. Challenge it again and say that, no, this is wrong. You need to fix it. I need 9:35. It will fail again. I tried it 4 or 5 times. It failed every time. So why is that? Why do you think that the AI model is failing with such a very simple task? It's mainly because of the data it was fed. AI models, those generative AI models, they look into the internet and they got their information from there. They ingest, this is the term they use, they ingest the data from the internet. And if you look in the internet for a clock picture, you'll see that the majority of the clock picture is the 1010, the very famous 1010 clocks. Why is that? It's a very old thing where the manufacturer wanted to show their logos, they want to show all the arms and so on. But it became the trend. So if you go online and you check for the watch or clock, you'll see the 1010. And this is what the AI model knows. It doesn't know any better. So when you tell it that I want 9:35, it gets confused. So, and it's exactly the same thing. This is a very simple example, but it's exactly the same thing for a larger application. When we talk about buildings, if you put the best AI model or best AI tool in there, and you give it the wrong data or missing data, it will not perform as you want it to do. So how can we feed the data to the AI models? And this is why you see building technologies companies like Honeywell or others are trying to do more and more connectivity. And I've been I think some of the speakers talked about that as well. We need more connected buildings. Why is that? Some people will tell me that you can use the logs that you have in the building to train the AI model. Not true, because that's only partial reality. The system, the tool needs to be trained on the whole situation, whether it's weather condition, whether it's what's happening in the building, what's happening in the area, what's happening in the country at that time, how the human operator reacts to that incident. All that needs to be fed. And the only way we can do that is by connecting the buildings and the communities that we have to these models. In addition, we'll get all the good stuff that we've talked about a lot, like the preventive maintenance, energy management, and all this. So this is why you see that most of us are hungry for connectivity. So when we talk to any government or community management about their needs, they mainly are in one of these 4 topics. Of course, there are many other more topics, but those are the main one. The public safety, the mobility, the citizen engagement, and sustainability. So I don't have time. I know that we're a bit over time, so I don't have time to go through all of them. But let me speak about some of them. For example, the predictive policing. There is a lot of stuff that the AI tool will take into consideration that we can't even think of, like sometimes the weather condition, the time of the year, the time of the day, because all that influence, even sometimes the stock market, the credit crunch in the country or city, all that is taken into consideration to predict the hotspot and predict certain incidents, right? And this will help whether it's the civil defense or the police or Ministry of Interior to plan their activities accordingly. When we talk about mobility, for example, we can talk about the traffic management or public transportation. Again, we right now we do that mostly with system, and like it's a hybrid model between human being and systems. But if we implement the right AI model with the right information fed to it, it can take care of a lot of incidents much smoothly, predict what's going to happen if an accident happened here, what's the implication on the area around it, and it can smooth the traffic much better than we could do as a human being. Another example of sustainability, I think it's the most easiest one, because we live in that every day, but waste management. Now we've implemented these solutions in many cities or communities where they literally monitor the trash cans, and whenever the trash can is filled or the time that this trash can is being filled, they will arrange the garbage pickup accordingly, which results in a much more sustainable operation for the city or the community. So the outcome of all these technologies is not only for the operator, or it's not only for the landlord or landowners, or it's not only for the citizens. It's a collaborative results. And research shows that smart communities appreciate much faster than normal communities. People who live in smart buildings and smart cities are much happier, not much happier, but happier than the people that live in the normal communities. So with that, I want to conclude with this slide. I promise Sipka that I'm not going to promote product, but I want you to talk to us if you'd like about our Forge platform. It's our latest and greatest IoT platform where it's truly, and I promise, truly AI enabled, and we can speak about a lot of features that this system can help you. And all that I've spoken about, the use cases, have been implemented by Honeywell in many cities around the world and many cities in our region specifically. Whether it's communities or complete cities, we've done that. So with that, I would like to thank you very much. Let's have a safer, secure, and smarter cities. Thank you very much.